And once again, I want to say greetings to each and every one of you. Aquala, welcome. Welcome to another round of the Conscious Rasta Report here on LIV Radio, LIV TV, and livinginblack.com. My name is Kidi Obia Wadu, aka the Conscious Rasta. Weekday mornings, you and I get together live. We come in from 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's 12 noon Eastern time. That's 5 p.m. GMT and 8 p.m. East Africa time. We get together with you and we deal with culture, consciousness, historical perspectives. We deal with entertainment, economics, education, health, labor, law, politics, religion, family, conflict, future studies, all areas of human interactivity and development. Today's date is Friday, the 20th of February, the year 2026 in the Western calendar, the Gregorian calendar. This corresponds to the year 6266 in the calendar of ancient Kemet, to which we've realigned our cultural clock. Welcome to the 7th millennium. You have found your family in a peaceful place here on LIV Radio, LIV TV, here on livinginblack.com. And I think we've got a pretty good show for you today. I hope you do find this to be exciting. We're continuing our ongoing series. The ongoing series is African Our Story Month. And what I am doing is taking you through my list of books that I have published over the years. And I'm very, very proud of my publishing. I've been working on my newest new book this morning. And I think I'm going to have it ready to go to the press and in your hands. And I found out it's going to be pretty reasonably priced, because I thought it was going to be real expensive, but it's not too bad. It's got all color photographs. And I think you're going to enjoy what we have. But here's what we have on store for today. African History Broadcast. This is our 15th broadcast for African History Months. We're joining March to February, and I'm going to showcase as many of my books as I possibly can get in during that time. Today, 100 plus lifespan, and in our second hour, Living Superfood Life to the Maax. Welcome to this 15th powerful edition of the Conscious Rasta Report for African World History, where we reclaim our destiny by mastering life itself. In hour one, we dive into 100 plus lifespan, exposing what really makes us age and how to shut down these processes. In hour two, we ignite Living Superfood Life to the Maax, exploring our 18 body systems and how to supercharge them for radical longevity, clarity, and human biological excellence. So we're going to have a good set of programs for you today. I hope you do enjoy it. I love it, love it, love it. Didn't put the cayenne pepper in there, and I can definitely taste that it's missing. But that's okay. Everything else in there is just all right with me. So that's what we have on the table for today. In case you do have to step in and out, I did create these links here. I'm going to post these links up. This is our first hour discussion, 100 plus lifespan. And in our second hour, Living Superfood Life to the Maax. And I tell you, we're going to have fun today. We're in class. We are learning. We're studying. We're growing. But at the same time, why can't we have fun doing all of the above? Okay? So you're ready? We're ready, Key. Let's do this thing. Let's get this party started. Now, here's what I'm going to do. And let me just get this started, and we're off and running. Where are we? Oh, I have the books. 100 plus lifespan. Strategies to increase healthy life expectancy. Multiple consortiums are pursuing what is predicted to swell to a $15 trillion investment in longevity R&D over the near future. Scientists are pursuing this initiative through biotech, genetic engineering, expensive lab procedures, and drug therapies. On the contrary, more practicable holistic pathways exist to achieve desired longevity using more affordable, non-invasive, natural strategies. Understanding these often contradictory pronouncements on the means of extending life can be tough. Yet for students of longevity research, we frequently obtain useful insights. Health magazines, medical journals, news stories, marketing releases, drug promotion, social media, and even casual conversations all suggest a spectrum of life extending tips. Not all of these are grounded in solid principles of scientific confirmation. So where should one seek sound advice? You know where you're going to get sound advice. How skeptical should one be amid so much questionable advice? It goes on, but I want to get into the book because it's a lot of book, and we don't have too much time. We got a couple of hours, so we're going to be okay. We introduced the book, How Long Do You Plan to Live? The future belongs to those who are best prepared to create that future today. How long do you plan to live? I like to talk. Engaging in meaningful, productive conversations with intelligent people is one of my great life fascinations. And I bet I'm not the only one who feels this way. Because I have such a wide diversity of subjects that fill my imagination, our conversations can go in many different directions. I just love to talk and listen. Of the things that I am quick to engage deeply in conversation are matters of health. I've written extensively about health issues. One of the nearly 4 dozen books, at this time it was 4 dozen, I have written, of the nearly 4 dozen, half have been partially or completely centered on health and lifestyle. Longevity is a favorite topic that finds its way into these books and daily conversations. Without admitting to any obsession with impending or eventual mortality, I am committed to living long and enjoying a healthy lifespan. Therefore, our topic of extending life expectancy finds its way into frequent conversations. I've developed a plan, my plan, for healthy life extension and work daily to achieve that optimal outcome. However, I am curious how others feel about this topic. A frequent question that arises in conversation is, how long do you plan to live? This is an open and honest question. The answer indicates how you strategically approach your health, beliefs, and sense of mortality. Responses that I've gained from it can range from bullet point. People want to live to be about the age of their parents or grandparents plus a short additional time. Point, 100 years seems to be a good round average. Point, whatever the Creator has in store for me, which sounds like fatalism to me. I'll just take whatever I get. Some abnormally long lifespan that too often are compromised by their relatively unhealthy current appearance. Not so long as to be suffering extensively from age-related chronic diseases. Unfortunately, a lot of people naturally associate older age with geriatric disease. Another response, sometimes someone will offer a very specific lifespan that appears to be well informed. And then there is no definitive answer at all, as if they would prefer not to even consider the idea of their mortality. Well, ask yourself that question right now. How long do I plan to live? Ask yourself the question. Have you seriously considered this issue? I'm going to skip forward. Is there a limit to human life expectancy? And fortunately, we've got a lot of books covered today, two big, extensive books, and both of them deserve 2 hours themselves. I put actually 10 weeks into broadcasting when I originally did this book. Is there a limit to human life expectancy? Have you ever considered immortality? Who are the oldest living men and women today? First, of course, realizing that whatever day I am tapping out on this paragraph, could be the final days of life for those at the extreme upper limit of the lifespan. Nevertheless, the fact is there will always be the oldest person in the nation. That is, until they die and are replaced in the record of such superlatives. As of May 17, 2022, the Guinness Book of World Records lists the world's oldest living man as Juan Vicente Perez at age 112. Other old age records listed by Guinness include Jean-Louise Clement became the oldest living person in 1988 and lived until 1997 before passing. San Francisco resident Maria Baranas Morena, a Hispanic woman born in the U.S. in 1907, at age 116 is now the Guinness records after the death of a French woman, Lucille Randon, age 118. Shortly before her 199th birthday anniversary. That doesn't look right. 189th, 119th it should say, birthday anniversary. According to Guinness record keepers, Don Emilio Flores Marquez from Puerto Rico held the title as the oldest person living male. Unfortunately, Senor Marquez died on 12th of August 2021, 4 days after his 113th birthday. And it goes on, but what of biblical characters? But what about the claims of many hundreds of years of longevity as passed to us through religious myth? For a good reason, we might be skeptical of claims of super longevity, such as Adam's 930-year life, to Noah's 500 years, to Abraham's 175. So let's take a little closer look at such claims. Quoting, "It's only biblical figures who've lived to well-seasoned ages of 900 years or more. Ancient texts from many cultures have listed lifespans most modern people find simply and literally unbelievable. Some say it's due to misunderstandings in the translation process, or that the numbers have symbolic meaning. But against the many explanations are also counter-arguments that leave the historian wondering whether the human lifespan has actually decreased so significantly over thousands of years. For example, one explanation is that ancient Near East understanding of a year could have been different than our concept of a year today. Perhaps a year meant an orbit of the moon, a month, instead of an orbit of the sun, 12 months. But if we make the changes accordingly, while it brings the age of the biblical figure Adam down from 930 to a more reasonable 77 at the time of his death, it also means he would have fathered the son Seth at the age of 11. And Enoch could have been only 5 years old when he fathered Methuselah, of whom biblical claims lives to be 969 years of age, fathering a son Lamech at 782 years. And I'm just going to skip forward. Reading through author Tara McKissick's research published in the Epoch Times reinforces our skepticism at these longevity claims among religious folklore. This is also extended to non-Christian societies such as Asia. Maaax goes on to write, in ancient China, supercentenarians were also commonplace. According to many texts, Joseph P. Howe, PhD acupuncturist, wrote in his book, Healthy Longevity Techniques. According to Chinese medical records, a doctor named Kui Wentz, the Qin dynasty, lived to be 300 years old. Ji Yule of the later Han dynasty lived to be 280 years old. A high-ranking Taoist master monk, Hui Zhao, lived to be 290 years old, and Tu Zichang lived, and Lo Zizong lived to be 180 years old, as recorded in the Chinese Encyclopedia of Masteria Medica. He Ningqi of the Tang dynasty lived to be 168 years. A Taoist master, Li Qingwan, lived to be 250 years old. In modern times, a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, Lo Mingshan of Sichuan province, lived to be 124 years old. So that's what's reported. I do cite, we naturally tend to be generally tolerant of religious beliefs and those who express them, yet reliance upon scientific methodology versus gives us a good measure of skepticism when such claims defy logic and a generalized understanding of biology. I have heard many claims from people that, upon inquiry, consistently fail to provide objective evidence that these declarations have merit. As our great sage and poet Stevie Wonder sang, when you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer. Superstition ain't the way. So I'm going to go forward. We talk about longevity is valued by friends and family and community, and that's a very important thing. I did talk about this not too long ago in the book Living Superfood Longevity. And we talk about so many people dying younger. What the heck is happening? And why do so many societal organizations allow this abuse to persist? How many groups treat the most vulnerable population indicates how a group treats the most vulnerable population indicates the quality of the nation's culture. Disrespect to babies, children, mothers and fathers, the poor, ethnic minorities, immigrants, the disabled, and those suffering illness, the elderly, women, men, the excluded, those troubled in life, and the mentally ill. From my observances as an elder, all these groups are systematically abused within modern America. Where has the grace gone in society? And we're talking about elder abuse. But let's plan. Just skipping forward to a chapter. This is still the introduction. I plan to live to 126 years of age. Now, this was written, 4 years ago. Now, I have confirmed my plan is pretty doggone good using artificial intelligence. One of the great honors of my life as a young senior citizen is that I am increasingly assuming the role of the teacher within the extended community and society. I love it. In my mind, one of the great hallmarks of a good instructor is teaching from wisdom combined with a large dose of first-hand experience. The optimal educator is not a, quote, armchair quarterback or a hypocrite. I teach what I knows, and I knows what I teaches. This book is fundamentally aimed at the dynamic topic of high-quality life extension, and this is not the first book I've written where I focus on this subject. I'm committed to living to excel at this subject. I'm immensely serious about this specific life expectancy of 126 years before planning to transition to exist on the other side of the great passage into the next realm of spiritual reality. 1 second. I have to clear my throat. And all right. So I plan to 126 years. I do not fear death, or at least I've convinced myself of that. But unfortunately, many of us have grown to fear aging, having become prejudiced against senior status over the decades, and having a false impression of what a stage of existence would entail, such a stage of existence would entail. We have been propagated against and mind controlled to assume that advanced years would be miserable, with excess acute and chronic illnesses, inability to think clearly, failing body systems, chronic pain, and declines in many habitual functions that require us to be sharp, quick-witted, and powerful. For all of those harboring one or more of these fears, I've got really good news for you. It doesn't have to be so. You don't have to go along that pathway of slow and steady decline in your physical and mental acuity. Things are nearly as dreadful as the profiteers of sickness, the merchants of death, would have us believe. The key is to have a plan, a really good strategic plan. And then just a couple of headers of chapters, living my life like it's golden. I do talk about my own health status. At my current 67 years of age, it appears that too many people of this mature age seem to be fatalistic and open to the belief that it's only natural that they should expect to die soon. Just the mere fact of being a black man in America is the statistical average that I would have less than 5 years of life expectancy remaining. As such, I should already be pulled into the vortex of chronic disease conditions that increasingly create suffering in my life. To the contrary, I prepare daily to live very well. Therefore, I plan to achieve an exceptionally long and healthy lifespan. This vitality, this vital longevity is my plan, and I plan to stick to the plan. This plan includes robust vitality, an exceptionally strong functioning immune system, great wit and humor as constant companions, stamina, strength, resilience, and a joie de vivre, the joy of life, worth embracing every moment of every day of every season. Over the years, I've intensified the study of longevity research. I have added decades to my self-determined life expectancy. I practice what I preach, skipping down. Oh, I didn't say this. This is very important. Old habits die hard, but new habits form quickly. I wholeheartedly believe and teach this. I preach this ideology of the advantages of willpower, constant gratification, and the reverence of natural order. I realize that I stand upon the shoulders of great ancestors. Throughout life, beloved comrades have constantly reminded me to walk in daily glory and not lose focus on the fact that life is inherently good. There's several reasons why I'm qualified to write and teach on this. I'm come from a family and community of high accomplishing middle class successes, and I'm going to skip over that. I'm telling a little bio for a page and a half in it. You've heard my bio enough times. So let's go forward. I'm going to come out of the introductory preface. Teach what you know and know what you teach. I insist. The 7 principles of optimal health, we talk about them. Once again, I introduce what I first discovered that in Living Superfood Research. In every book on health I've written since then, I always include the 7 principles of optimal health. Number 1, mastering the breath. Number 2, hydration. Number 3, nutrition. Number 4, exercise. Number 5, sleep and restful rejuvenation. Number 6, detoxification. And number 7, the mind, body, spirit matrix. Now, this 100 plus lifespan is not my first book on this subject. And I talk about living superfood longevity. We covered that last week. 100 plus lifespan is bigger than me. It's bigger than me. My self-determination and joy of living are large. Although I know this is quite a daunting task, to which I am committed. My success should ultimately empower many more people than just myself. For the sake of my family, loved ones, and my beloved comrades on this life journey, I cannot risk or tolerate failure on this most sacred mission. I plan to live for 126 years. So I'm going to kind of move forward kind of fast. Bucking the chapter 1, bucking the trends by living longer and healthier. I begin with this quote from Joe Pizzorno. Half the costs of illness are wasted on conditions that could be prevented. Sickness care is big business. You know that by now. And we talk a lot about sickness care as opposed to what we are dealing with. And that is, it's all about longevity, health and longevity. So let's go forward. I'm going to skip over that chapter. Sickness care is big business. And we're going to go next to longevity is turning into, now, not only sickness care, but longevity is turning into big business. And this is very, very important for our understanding. And where we at? Where we at? Behind that at, my daddy would say. Okay, let's go ahead. These 5 habits will lengthen your lifespan. We frequently come across articles with titles such as that. Exercising, regularly adopting a healthy diet, not smoking, not becoming overweight, and drinking only moderate amounts of alcohol could lengthen your life at age 50 for women by 14 years, for men by 12 years. This book, 100 plus lifespan, is imagined as the most definitive book on this subject of planning and executing a broad set of longevity procedures and tactics. We have a lot of ground to cover. All the strategies I share have been demonstrated to add longevity, peak performance, and improved physiological conditioning to those who consistently apply them. Consistency is the key. I have committed to assembling this broad knowledge base to empower you as I am deliberate on doing this for myself. Some of us do get it. That's another chapter. We're talking about the distinctions between conventional medicine and complementary medicine. We have to understand the distinctions. Just a couple of points. There's a bullet list on this, and this book is full of bullet lists. I like writing bullet lists because bullet lists allows my listeners to read through it quickly, easily, and get good, straightforward to the facts. What is known as conventional medicine is a relatively new and still developing set of protocols. Point 2, it is expensive compared to other health maintenance systems. Point 3, it is highly dependent on chemical therapies that are known to have undesirable side effects. Point 4, it often recommends expensive high-tech diagnostic methods. And just one more point, point 5, it thrives on specialization in narrow fields of a person's general health profile. And it goes on. But we want to talk about complementary medicine. I love the idea of complementary medicine, which includes alternative medicine. And some of the practitioners of conventional medicine are incorporating these into their system. So I'm going to just list you some of these complementary medicine protocols. Alternative medicine includes acupuncture, aqua therapy, aroma therapy, Ayurveda, body work or massage therapy, Chinese herbology or traditional Chinese medicine, chiropractic, colon hydrotherapy, crystal healing, electromagnetic therapy, energy medicine, fasting, functional medicine, herbology, holistic medicine, homeopathy, hypnosis or hypnotherapy, iridology, meditation, megadosing, vitamins and supplements, multi-body, mind-body medicine, naturopathic medicine, nutritional healing or clinical nutrition, and so on. There's another 10 or 20 of those. Integrative medicine, where you're combining these all together. And what I deal with, functional medicine. I do want to take some time and explain this. Functional medicine is a biological systems-based approach that focuses on identifying and addressing the root cause of disease. Each symptom or differential diagnosis may be one of many contributing to an individual's illness. One of the premier tenets of functional medicine is that each patient is unique and whose disordered condition is the consequence of unique pathways and influences in their lives. Compared to cookie-cutter methodologies of conventional drug therapy-based medicine, which to me are an absolute disgrace, functional medicine listens closely to the client, intending to comprehend the unique conditions that have created pathological conditions in that patient. Here is one example of how functional medicine refocuses an approach to health maintenance. Point: one condition, many causes. The condition at the center of the focus is depression. In functional medicine, depression is connected to multiple causative conditions such as malnutrition, deficiency, hypothyroidism, vitamin D deficiency, hyperglycemia, high blood sugar or pre-diabetes, and exposure to pharmaceutical drugs. One cause, many conditions. The alternative element here is inflammation. Functional medicine is connected to multiple disorders, such as functional medicine connects inflammation to multiple disorders such as depression, arthritis, cancer, metabolic, pulmonary, and cardiovascular diseases. My research has linked acute and chronic inflammation to as many as 220 named diseases and diagnoses. And in the end of this book, is Appendix 1. And I go on and I take on all of these names for inflammation. Somebody want to give me a reference number? I can read from that one. I would love to have you in the house participating. Is Eddie in the house? No, I don't see Eddie in the house. Appendix 1, inflammation and disease, inflammatory diseases and disorders. I'm just going to read 10 of them from number 21. Bronchitis is inflammation of the mucous membrane in the bronchial tubes. It typically causes bronchospasm and coughing. 22. Bursitis is inflammation or irritation of bursa sac, which can appear all over the body. They're filled with fluid so that eases rubbing. Bursitis occurs most often at joints and that perform frequent repetitive motion. Number 23, cancer. Inflammation can become chronic if the cause of the inflammation persists or certain control mechanisms in charge of shutting down the process fail. When these inflammatory responses become chronic, cell mutation and proliferation can result, often creating an environment conducive to cancer development. Number 24, capsulitis is a painful condition in which the movement of the shoulder bones becomes limited. The pain is caused when ligaments become inflamed due to injury or disease. Number 25, cardiovascular diseases. Chronic inflammation is a major contributor to heart disease. Patients with inflammatory conditions have an increased risk of coronary heart disease, CHD, stroke, and peripheral vascular disease, PVD. Number 26, carditis, myocarditis. We heard a lot about pericarditis and myocarditis deaths after the COVID-19 injection. Inflammation of the heart is most conveniently broken down into three categories: pericarditis, inflammation of the pericardium; myocarditis, inflammation of the heart muscle; and endocarditis, inflammation of the endocardium. Number 27, gets four more. Cervicitis, an irritation or infection of the cervix. Many different organisms can cause it. Cervicitis can be either acute, meaning symptoms start suddenly, can be severe, but are short-lived, or chronic, lasting for months or longer. Next, cheilitis, aka lip inflammation, manifests as red, dry, scaling, and itchy chips. Number 29, cholecystitis, inflammation of the gallbladder, a small digestive organ beneath the liver. It is often caused by stones that block the tube leading from the gallbladder to the small intestine. And number 30, chorioamnionitis. Chorioamnionitis is a condition that can affect pregnant women. In this condition, bacteria enter the chorion and amnion, the membrane surrounding the fetus, and the amniotic fluid in which the fetus floats. This can lead to infections in both mother and fetus. So there is a total. I read 10 of them. And when we go through this entire total of diseases of inflammation and disease, I have listed, the last one is 161. Vulvitis is an inflammation of the vulva. These are the soft folds of skin outside the vagina. It is a symptom that can result from an array of diseases. This can include infections, injuries, allergies, or irritants. So I did the best I can. 161. There are more, but at a certain point I had to kind of let the book go. We're talking now about living. Seasonal detoxification fasting. I have this quote from Dr. Joel Fuhrman, the author of the book Eat for Health. He writes, therapeutic fasting is not a mystical or magical cure. It works because the body has within it the capacity to heal when the obstacles to healing are removed. Health is the normal state. Most chronic disease is the inevitable consequence of living a lifestyle that places disease-causing stressors on the human organism. Fasting gives the body an interlude without those stressors, so that it can speedily repair or accomplish healing that could not otherwise occur in the feeding state. Now, I tell you, fasting for health is not so difficult. Some people, when I talk about fasting, they say, oh, I could never do that. I could never deliberately starve myself for 3 days, 72 hours. And I'll argue with them and say, yes, you could. They say, no, you couldn't. Okay. I say, all right, well, let's imagine this scenario. Say you are in charge of taking care of your young grandchildren. And you and your young grandchildren are driving through the desert, and you have an accident, or a tire blows, or your engine fails. And for some odd reason, you cannot get the problem solved right there. Your cell phone's not working. You may have run off the road or whatever. So therefore, if you cannot go 3 days without eating, and you have enough food for 1 day or 2 days, are you going to eat up all the food and let the children die? No. You're going to use your superhuman strength. And there are many other examples one could list, but this is real important. My fasts are generally 28 days, but have been as short as 10 days and as long as 40 and 42 days. In my quest to live disease-free, drug-free, and enjoy a full and healthy lifespan, I've incorporated detoxification fasting as one of the 7 principles of optimal health. Here are the reasons why I maintain this seasonal fast. Number one, I'm very strict about keeping my weight close to what it was at age 25, when I was in the prime of youthful adulthood. To me, gaining and retaining weight is a hallmark of aging, as I am aware of the data that shows the average American adult gains between 1 and 1.4 pounds a year from their prime area, from their peak prime of health in their mid-20s. Point two, it strengthens the immune system's response and efficacy. Point three, it is a powerful tool to prevent or reverse inflammatory diseases and disorders, of which there are more than 220 such conditions that have been medically described. Point four, it strengthens and reinforces my willpower and discipline. Point five, detoxification cleanses my body of toxic heavy metals. Point six, it helps me to prevent dangerous abdominal obesity, aka visceral adiposity or big belly syndrome. Point seven, it is a powerful tool against metabolic syndrome disorders like hypertension, diabetes, obesity, kidney disease, and imbalanced blood lipids. And I go on. Point 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 is number 14. It refines my sensory awareness and performance. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, up through 25 reasons. 25, fasting is one of my strategies for maintaining the highest sexual functionality. Again, thinking about the ladies. And for those new and to veterans, there are several cautions. Let me tell you about these cautions. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Real quick. Dehydration due to not consuming water-rich vegetables and fruits. 2.2, headaches can happen but don't have to happen. I don't get headaches. Number 3, gassiness for the first few days as the structure of the microbiome changes. Number 4, low blood sugar, hypoglycemia. This can be a problem. Can lead to fatigue and even fainting. This can be particularly problematic when water fasting. You have to be out. If you have to be out of the home, keep a bottle of juice handy for increasing your blood sugar. Apple, grape, and orange juice work very well. If you start to feel faint while doing a water fast, get close to the ground immediately. Don't even walk for a seat. Get low immediately. Experiencing irregular heartbeat due to low electrolyte minerals in the blood. Another one, flu-like symptoms from dumping toxins into the blood that had been sequestered in fat cells. And lastly, constipation occurs when engaging in extended water fasts as the body seeks to hold on to whatever nutrients are lingering in the digestive tract. So those are the cautions. And it's definitely, you want to put this into your life. It reminds me of this Chinese proverb. What is the best time to plant a fruit tree? 20 years ago. When is the second best time to plant a fruit tree? Today. So I'm going to close with this quote from Pope Shenouda III of Alexandria. This is the founders of Ethiopian Orthodox religion. He wrote, fasting is not bodily hunger, but bodily elevation and purity. It is not a body that hungers and longs for food, but a body that rids itself of the desire to eat. Fasting is a time when the soul flourishes and lifts the body up with it. It rids the body of its loads and burdens and lifts it up so that God may work and with it without impediment in the happiness of the spiritual entity. Pretty amazing. Next chapter, what's happening to our bodies? And I'm going to skip forward here in a little bit, but this is all so good. Albert Einstein quote, do not grow old, no matter how long you live. Never cease to stand like curious children before the great mystery into which we are born. Albert Einstein. So we're talking about human lifespans, average lifespans in ancient societies. So we talked about the extended years, hundreds and hundreds of years attributed In religious texts, well, we understand. But average lifespans in ancient societies, Babylonia, it's estimated the average life expectancy was around 25 to 30 years of age. Persia, life expectancy during Persia is estimated to be in between 30 and 35. China, in ancient China, life expectancy varied depending on the era and social class. During the Han Dynasty, it is estimated the average was around 35 to 45 years. In India, life expectancy in ancient Egypt, India, is estimated to have been 25 to 35 years. Africa, life expectancy in ancient African societies is difficult to estimate due to the wide range of cultures and regions. However, it is thought that life expectancy was generally lower than in other ancient civilizations, likely around 20 to 30 years. And in Kemet, ancient Egypt, the best life expectancy estimates in the Nile Valley civilizations would be around 30 to 35 years of age. These consider high infant and child mortality rates combined with significant mortality during childbirth for women. As with other civilizations, social class, wealth, and elite status allowed for longer life expectancy for some, but not all of their population. Now, I'm going to break down why we age, the complex biology of aging. We're about approaching a third of the way into the book. This is where the real work of this book begins. First, I begin with this quote from George E. Valiant. Aging happy and well, instead of sad and sick, is at least under some personal control. We have considerable control over our weight, our exercise, our education, and our abuse of cigarettes and alcohol. With hard work and or therapy, our relationships with our spouses and our coping styles can be changed for the better. A successful old age may lie not so much in our stars and genes as in ourselves. Then we talk about the 9 hallmarks of aging. What is cellular senescence? In 2013, scientists from the Institute for Human Optimization published a report defining 9 hallmarks of aging. Common among mammalian species, their report read in part, lifestyle factors such as poor nutrition, alcoholism, smoking, inactivity, insomnia, and stress, to name a few, can increase your biological age, influencing your genes and causing the effects, can decrease your biological age, influencing your genes and causing the effects of aging to happen faster. Yeah, it should be decrease. Depending on your lifestyle and genetics, your biological age can be much higher or lower than your chronological age. While chronological aging is inevitable, biological aging is manageable and even reversible. I teach a class on reversing our biological age. It's also possible to be a 50-year-old person with a younger biological age due to more active, healthy lifestyle. In contrast, it is possible to be a 40-year-old with an older biological age due to poor lifestyle habits. Here is a list of the 9 hallmarks of aging reported by the Institute for Human Optimization. And I take all 9 of these. The most of this book now is reversing each of these 9. Number 1, genomic instability. Genetic mutations or alterations within the cell nucleus of the life cycle of cells. DNA damage is a constant process within our cell nuclei. The body has systemic mechanisms that can be activated to repair frayed chromosomal strands. Point 2, telomere attrition. That's those chromosome strands. Telomeres are the terminal caps of chromosome strands. With aging, it is generally accepted that these end caps deteriorate, allowing chromosomes to degrade. This depletion downgrades each new generation of cells as they replace degenerating senescent or dying cells. Point 3, epigenetic alterations. These relate to genetic modifications that negatively affect gene activity without alteration of the base DNA sequence. Still, the epigenetic environment changes how DNA is read and expressed, or creates inaccurate gene activation or other maladaptive responses to blood markers that are part of epigenetic functions. Point 4. Loss of proteostasis. Proteostasis is the dynamic regulation of creating proteins, the basic building blocks of molecules. The proteostasis network includes competing and integrated biological pathways within the cells that control the biogenesis, folding, trafficking, and degradation of proteins inside and outside the cell. Number 5, why we age. Deregulated nutrient sensing. Throughout the entirety of your body is a nutrient sensing system, whose sole responsibility is to ensure that you get the right amounts of the critical classes of nutrients required to sustain life. These systems increasingly degrade under the impact of deregulating stresses and processes of aging, resulting in increased hunger signaling and subsequent malnutrition. Point 6, why we age. Mitochondria disruption. Within the complex substructures of each living cell, the mitochondria are the powerhouses that generate energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate, ATP. Unfortunately, these can be damaged by free radical damage, resulting in less energy production and the sluggishness of cellular processes. Number 7, cellular senescence. The human body replaces older, worn-out cells at the rate of 300 million every second. All the body's living cells are replaced every 7 to 10 years, with some organs regenerating even faster. Senescence regulates the number of times that cells can replicate, and autophagy is the process of removing dead cells from the body. The degradation of these functions as we age, is also known as cellular senescence. Number 8, stem cell exhaustion. As the body replaces cells, new cells are differentiated from blank slate stem cells. These can make as many as 200 different types of cells that are integrated into organic tissues of a particular functionality. Fewer stem cells means less regeneration, meaning we start to show signs of getting old. And number 9, altered extracellular communication. Cells require constant communication within organic functions and throughout the body. However, this extracellular function degrades as we age. Crossed signals, malfunctioning of this exosome-based genetic information delivery process, and the interference of endocrine disrupting chemicals, EDCs, can complicate the functioning, leading to confusing regulatory processes affecting hormones, hunger signals, and sleep cycles. I am a biological scientist with an extensive focus on aging and a healthy lifespan. Therefore, this research, published by the Institute for Human Optimization, is extremely important. These 9 hallmarks of aging provide key insights into which specific strategies to extend life expectancy will evolve. As I am successful at sparking my readers to become students of the biological sciences related to life extension, it is research such as that we've just reviewed that will be key to full comprehension of how it is increasingly more feasible to create pathways to live well beyond a 100-year lifespan. I invite you, our listening audience, participating in the conversation too. Do drop a note. Let me know you're in the house. Mm. Ah. Ooh. Love it. What I am going to do right now is I'm going to put up a link into the chat where you can get your copy of the book for today. And okay, here is this book, 100 plus lifespan. Let me push this up on Rumble for my listening audience, which I don't see my Rumble family in the house today. But I'm going to persist. I do see you in the house today, Brother Eddie. Great to have you with us. 100 plus lifespan. I hope you have already seen the book. You know, I'm excited about my books on longevity. And in the second hour, and let me go ahead and put up that link as well, we're going to be talking about Living Superfood Life to the Max, which to me, the book is kind of a celebration of what I am committed to, these life processes, but it's also a good instruction book. In fact, Living Superfood Life actually evolved out of the course I had been teaching on the Living Superfood lifestyle. I didn't really tell people about the book so much because the book was the basis of the class. We're talking about chromosomal damage to the genome. That's the first one of the 9 it talked about, chromosomal damage to the genome. And let's talk about systemic degradation. The body, this is the kind of like the critical core of the next book we're having up for today. So let me go ahead and read this right now so I can avoid reading it because it's real brief right here. Systemic degradation. As we mature, sustaining our health and vitality becomes more challenging with each decade. However, we shouldn't assume that it is inevitably a failing task. On the contrary, there are many, many rules that will serve us well, especially if we can establish these lifelong habits early in life. I offer myself as an example. As a vibrant current chronological age of 67, I know it was to my great advantage to learn the discipline of the vegetarian lifestyle at age 27. 40 years have passed, and I have added much functional knowledge about mastering this nutritional regimen, I should say. I have since advanced from the big life commitment to becoming plant-based, but come to eliminate all animal proteins, highly processed foods, chemicals masquerading as food, and more. I've learned much about the advantages of vegan, 80-20 vegan, adding detox to my personal health regimen, eating completely raw for extended periods as long as 8 years from 2010, adding superfoods to my daily nutrition base, and how to use food as nature's most perfect medicine. It's not always been easy, but it has been very satisfying. Key to the success of Living Superfood is supplying the right nutrition for optimized cellular function. Cells are the basic building blocks of life. Although one can go subcellular to explain more about how we are put together. Cells of similar functions come together to form tissues. In turn, tissues are what organs are made of, and organs collaborate to configure systems. The human body is comprised of these 18 functional systems. They include, number 1, cardiovascular system, the heart, circulatory arteries, vessels, capillaries. Number 2, the cognitive system. See, hear, smell, taste, feel. 3, the digestive system. 4, bioenergetic system, the metabolic function related to cellular mitochondrial production of ATP, as well as cellular energy flow. Number 5, the eliminative system. 6, the endocrine system, glandular and hormones. 7, genetics system, including DNA, RNA, and chromosomes. Number 8, the endocannabinoid system. Number 9, that's really deals with pain management. Number 9, immune system. Number 10, integumentary system, the exocrine, epidermis, skin, hair. 11, lymphatic system. Number 12, microbiome system, 100 trillion friendly bacteria, viruses, and parasites that actually live with us. 13, the muscular system. 14, the nervous system, neurological. 15, the reproductive system. 16, the respiratory system, pulmonary. 17, the skeletal system. And number 18, the urinary system, the kidneys, renal system. All of these body systems cooperate and collaborate to bring us life. Our ultimate goal is to get all of these functional systems into perfect balance and harmonious union within the whole body matrix. We refer to this functional balance as homeostasis. This is the greatest good, the summum bonum of holistic health, which we seek to secure using natural methods. Then I talk about environmental stressors. There are a bunch of them, environmental stressors, and then there are mental stressors. I'm going to skip over that because we did cover that in the book Living Super in Paradise, pages 11 and 12. That's a very important book, and those are two very important pages for us to understand. Next, I'm dealing with insufficiency of replenishing nutrition. That's one of the hallmarks of aging. Why we age? Well, now let's talk about that. I make no such ambiguous statements. I'm skipping over part. I get perturbed when I see authors promoting ideas such as, quote, lean protein, and as advocacy for food substances that are fundamentally incompatible with the nature of human physiology. Later in the same book, we will examine the best healing nutrition. And then there will be no mention of the red meat, pork, poultry, seafood, and dairy products that many nutrition writers claim are part of a balanced, healthy diet. I make no such ambiguous statements about the appropriate food for disease prevention and rapid recovery from disorders. On the contrary, the diet I recommend as optimal for healing is the same diet for disease prevention and an ideal base for daily and seasonal nutrition. These inconsistent authors will talk about consuming known toxic agents like alcohol. In moderation, they say. No, it's all toxic. Carcass food, any dead flesh, highly refined foods, fast food, and sugar toxins in moderate amounts, quote unquote. So yeah, if you consume a tiny amount of known poison, it won't likely appear as harmful. So consume twice as much, if you dare. I don't like the logic of consuming a, quote, moderate amount of toxic foods. Take alcohol, for instance. Many diet advisors will state a tolerance, even a benefit, to consuming red wine. They rightfully reveal an advantage from the resveratrol comprising the dark pigmentation from the grapes used in wine production. Some will even recommend a glass or two daily for a healthy lifestyle. Given that logic, if one were to consume 2 days worth or 4 days worth at a time, that would begin to demonstrate the poisoning side effects of alcohol consumption. It follows that they are promoting the ideas that taking a known neurotoxin daily in small doses is complementary to ideal health. That's a load of crap. I quit all alcohol consumption in August 1986. That would be almost 37 years ago at the time of this writing. However, I miss nothing about drinking beer, wine, and whiskey. Nothing about that feeling of being neurologically imbalanced. The human brain and nervous systems can receive, transmit, and process unbelievable amounts of information. I'm going to skip over that, but I will read two sentences. One, the brain processes 400 billion bits of information a second, but we are only aware of 2,000 of those. Dr. Joseph Dispenza, D.C. The average clock speed of neurons in the brain is merely 200 firings per second. Now, why am I reading all that? It's because in my mind, in my brain, I want my brain functioning as rapidly as possible, and alcohol is a neurosuppressant. That's why you feel relaxed after drinking it. You're basically suppressing your neurological system. I'm going to have to go forward. We talk about innervation, advanced glycation, and innervation is loss of energy. Many times you're partying too hard, excessive exposure to mental, environmental stressors, sleep deprivation, sedentary lifestyle, insufficient or empty calories. You're doing all of the above. There's 20 bullet points there that leads to innervation, lack of energy, advanced glycation. In Living Superfood Longevity, we talked about ages, advanced glycation in products, and why you and I would avoid them. Next subchapter, neurodegeneration and cognitive disorders. The book is good. Aging is the primary risk factor for most neurodegenerative diseases, including Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. 1 in 10 individuals age 65 plus has AD, Alzheimer's disease, and its prevalence continues to increase with increasing age. Few or no effective treatments are available for aging-related neurodegenerative diseases, which tend to progress in an irreversible manner unless you know what I know, what we know now. With this book in hand, you go to page 64, and you're going to find a sentence that says, key to these systems failures to properly function and maintain our biointegrity is a spectrum of mental and environmental stressors known to trigger malfunction. And I do list those. We talk about unknown amount of chemical and environmental toxins, heavy metals such as lead, mercury, cadmium, aluminum, excessive iron, manganese, and arsenic, which you can detox all of them. I do every 3 months, EDTA. Pesticides, organochlorines, neuronal damage from trauma, side effects from chemotherapy and other pharmaceutical needs. I'm going to have to, next chapter, diminishing sexual function. Got to touch on keeping the Johnson going, keeping the thing working. It's not just for men. Diminishing sexual function for women. Age-related changes in the reproductive system can span a whole bunch of things. I list them. In men, sperm cell production goes down, and the prostate gland swells. The testes experience diminished production of the primary androgen hormone testosterone. Urinary tract functions has changed. A man can experience lowered libido and erectile dysfunction unless you're on a different track. The 100 plus lifespan master blueprint. I'm going to have to take a minute and go through this. Here's a quote from Nipsey Hussle, Maaax Erdogan. This is not his last name. I can't think of his name. Nipsey Hussle, you know him. He was a hero. Truly, truly a great young man, a hero. You know, I did one of the first interviews with Nipsey Hussle as a musician in the world. I interviewed him. He was 12 years old. I think he was about 10 or 12. But he was one of my friends' son, Eric, was his friend. They were working together musically. And I actually recall interviewing them. I have it somewhere in my library, but I'm going to have to dig to find that. I'm going to find it one day. But he says, Nipsey Hussle, without a game plan and without a strong sense of faith in what you are doing, it's going to be real hard to accomplish anything. Brilliant quote from a brilliant young man, Nipsey Hussle. May your memory continue to inspire us for generations. So, given all that I know and all I've written, I put together this extensive list of master blueprint, and there is 102 items on this list. No, 106 items on this list. And these all contribute to your extended lifespan. Page 83, number 59. Do not subject your body to harmful medical practices, including gamma radiation, chemotherapies that block cell replication, unnecessary surgeries, and pain-killing drugs such as opioids. Number 60. Avoid prolonged stays in hospitals to avoid infection with dangerous antibiotic-resistant pathogens. Number 61. Minimize or eliminate coffee, including decaffeinated, as it is a source of acrylamide, acrylic amide, a known carcinogen. 62. Avoid consuming sodas, soft drinks, and processed fizzy drinks. In addition, I avoid all commercial drinks with unnatural colors, which includes so-called sports drinks. 63. Do not consume so-called high-energy drinks, which contain multiple stimulants and sugar. 64. Engage in seasonal systemic detoxification to avoid sepsis and septic shock. 65. Find as many ways as possible to incorporate aloe vera into your nutritional and skincare routines. And just one more. 68. Maintain optimal care over your low intestines and gut bacteria microbiome. Periodically use probiotic supplementation. It's a good reason that we often hear that great health begins in the colon. And we then talk about high fiber foods, peanuts, culinary herbs like cinnamon, ginger, basil, and thyme have all demonstrated positive benefits to healthy gut flora. And that's beautiful. And there's 106 key strategies. Implement all of them. Implement every one of them. I talk about nootropics that we can use. We talk about nutrition, your positive mental attitude, and do it for life. Do it for life. And that takes you really kind of to the end of the book, looking at cutting edge longevity research. Quote from David Andrew Sinclair, who wrote the book, Why We Age and Why We Don't Have to. Over 20% of our longevity is genetically determined. The rest is what we do, how we live our lives, and increasingly the molecules, what molecules that we take. It's not the loss of our DNA that causes aging. It's the problems in reading the information, the epigenetic noise. And that's very powerful. And I have quotes from his book, a lot of wonderful bullet points. Changing your diet. Oh, this is a news headline. Research from PLOS. This is one of the peer-reviewed articles. Changing your diet could add up to a decade to life expectancy, study finds. Well, I'm changing all of my lifestyles, and according to the research that I have put together, I have increased my life expectancy by at least 46 years. At least 46 years. So therefore, I plan to live to be 124 years of age. I know I said 126 earlier in the book, but now I'm very accurate. And I'm proud to say, you've heard me say it before, Eddie, yesterday and every day, I still do my daily push-ups. And I engage in 3 sets of push-ups a day. Yesterday, my first set was 450 push-ups. My second set, now that's not easy, but I got an attitude. And when I combine it with Tai Chi, I find I can do it with relative ease. My second set, 350. And my third set, 350 push-ups. So for the first time ever in my life, I did 1,150 push-ups in 3 sets. 450, 350, and 350. I'm right on the verge of breaking my lifetime record of 500 once again. I could have done it yesterday, but I opted to quit. But I think I might try and break that lifetime record today. My lifetime record at 500 push-ups in a single set. I'm getting real close. My second biggest lifetime record was 465. So 450 to 465, that's just not that difficult. So I'm going to go forward in our second hour book study, Living Superfood Life to the Max. And I also deliberately published this one in this style. And this is 8.5 by 8.5. It's loaded with color pictures, lots and lots and lots of color pictures. And I'm just really proud of this book. And you can see pictures of my food in there as well. The green screen is kind of popping through, but this is a lovely book. This is really gorgeous book. And I thought everybody would just like mob me for this book, but sometimes I get it wrong. This is on page 5. This is got a lot of very large pullouts, pictures, color pictures all throughout. I am in the optimistic expectation that I will harvest from the garden that I have carefully and dutifully sown. My prosperity is the seed, plant, flower, and fruit that I am committed to mature. You have the power to make wellness prosperity happen. Page 6, a hierarchy of eating styles. We've gone through this before. In Living Superfood Research, I evaluated how people commonly eat. This is the hierarchy. Number 1, at the bottom, junk food. 2, fast food. 3, the standard American diet, SAD or Western diet. 4, the modified standard American diet. Oh, I don't eat pork. Yeah, you eat just like American stuff. Number 5, vegetarianism. Number 6, the vegan lifestyle. Number 7, now it's getting into the area where we operate, the 80-20 vegan, meaning 80% raw, 20% cooked. Number 8, plant-based vegan. Plant-based raw, I should say. Number 9, detoxification lifestyle is added. Number 10, living superfood nutrition. And number 11, orthomolecular medicine. That is the healing, the strongest healing that we can possibly do with nutrition. I have other lists. All causes of death are affected by overweight and obesity, including just a few: stroke, pulmonary embolism, angina, chest pain, cancers and other diseases of the endometrium, breast, colon cancer, kidney, gallbladder, uterus, prostate, and liver, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, gallbladder disease, fatty liver disease. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is now elevated as one of the critical metabolic disorders. Kidney disease, chronic nephropathy, gout, excessive uric acid in the blood. All of this is treated, but it's all associated with overweight and obesity. I do know of one person. I see you in the house. Chaos reigns. And we still have a chance to get together. Let's try and hook this up again, because you had invited me to your show. We'll see what we can do. Diseases associated with obesity and overweight. There are a total of 31. I think there's 32 now associated with overweight and obesity. The page, again, this book is a page turner. Every page has beautiful pictures on it and bullet lists and everything, recording your progress. Give yourself a critical task list to complete on time. This is what we're doing daily. Use the journal as a roadmap, or years later, you will need to return to your path. Number 4, it's a good means of dealing with the stresses you encounter in life. We're talking about why you write, why you journal. Number 5, it helps to uncover patterns in your life that are not helpful. Number 6, keeping a food journal is a powerful assistance to a weight loss regimen. Number 7, a good addition to a health and wellness journal is collecting recipes. Number 8, should you choose to write more extensively in the future, it helps to prompt your memory. The process of journaling contributes to your general health and well-being, and there's about 6 or 8 more of these under that list. This is very important. On page 9, we're talking about body mass index. Why I think body mass index is so important that I attempt to do it at least 4 to 5 days every week. I trust that it's not difficult for you to understand the importance of gauging your BMI. For me, it is paramount. Throughout this book, I trust that you will gather that I am one of the healthiest senior citizens alive. I'm proud of this status and work throughout the day to reinforce my vitality status. The following is the BMI reading that measures my body today, the day I wrote this. And so my body mass index, age 67 years of age, 5 foot 8.5 inches tall. My weight this morning was 149.6. And at 149.6, that gives me a body mass index of 22.4. Now, I will say, in the 4 years since then, actually 3 years since then, 67, my body mass index has changed. Whereas most people gain anywhere from 1 to up to 1.4 pounds every year, my body mass index has gone down. So I measured it last time 2 days ago. My body mass index was now 20.9. It's gone from 22.4, and 3 years later, it's 20.9. My weight at this point, and it's a little bit low, 138.6. But it is not. It is still right in near the middle of the green zone. It is a little better, and I don't mind it at all, even though I try to maintain it at 140, and it probably will be a little less than 140 when I do a day of a whole lot of push-ups and I eat my chia pudding with fresh fruit in it. Those are days when I'm not going to be necessarily picking up weight. But hey, 1,150 push-ups in one day and my chia pudding and all of that, the program that I use to gain my life expectancy is Perplexity AI. It tells me, hey man, you're perfect. We've never seen an elder, 70 years old, bragging about doing 1,150 push-ups in a day. The day before that, I did 1,100. The day before that, 925. The day before that, 850. And that was in 4 sets. The first set, I just did not have the energy for it. But I did pick it up later. In that day, I did 850. 150, that's a real lazy effort. 250, 250, and 200. So 4 sets to make 850 push-ups that day. So not bad, not bad, not bad. So body mass index, recording in your journal. Chapter 2, a health and wellness paradigm shift. So we're talking about conventional alternative versus functional medicine, or conventional versus alternative and functional medicine. Food is nature's most perfect medicine. I'm talking about functional medicine. Couple of quotes. Hippocrates, leave your drugs in the chemist's pot if you can heal the patient with food. Benjamin Franklin, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I eat 2 apples every day, keep his lawyer cousin out. Thomas Alva Edison, the doctor of the future, will no longer treat the human frame with drugs, but rather will cure and prevent disease with nutrition. And that makes me the doctor of the future. Paul Dudley White, a vigorous 5-mile walk will do more good for an unhappy but otherwise healthy adult than all the medicine and psychology in the world. And Wigmore, the food you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine, or the slowest form of poison. And one more quote from me: food is nature's most perfect medicine. You can quote me on that. And then I go on to talk about what is the most perfect food. We talk about why choose a plant-based nutritional lifestyle. Why? The next one, beginning the Living Superfood Wellness Day, I talk about what I do. Here's my beginning of my day. And this, now I've changed, so now I'm doing intermittent fasting. So at the time I was doing this, I was eating when I would get up in the morning. Now I begin this eating pattern at 12 noon most days, and I also begin with almost always exclusively oatmeal and chia pudding. But here's a practical routine for beginning the day supercharged and ready to rock. Point: begin each day with hydration. As you sleep, you expel 10 billion trillion carbon atoms and significant water molecules with every breath. Therefore, replacing this hydration as soon as possible is critically necessary, and I will drink to that. That's why I have my herbal tea every morning. Point two, I always begin my day with at least 20 minutes of medium to high grade exercise. I have a set of practices to strengthen my core, gravity weight training, and weather permitting, a 20-minute HIIT workout that consists of 10 cycles of walking briskly for 90 seconds and then running vigorously for 30 seconds. Right now, because of the cold weather, and it is cold, it was cold this morning, I'm doing not 20 minutes, but I'm doing 10 minutes. Once the weather warms up, I'm going to go back to 20 minutes. I say 20 minutes of HIIT for 7 months a year, and for 5 months, 10 minutes. Following the exercise, it's time to shower, clean my teeth with dental floss, a mixture of activated charcoal and baking soda, and a high-quality non-fluoride natural toothpaste. A correct dental health protocol can keep medical expenses to a minimum. Morning is a great time to get into the kitchen and prepare food for the day. We recommend taking 1 hour to make as many as 4 dishes to last you 2 to 3 days within the Living Superfood Day. Over 3 days, you can have as many as a dozen or more delicious dishes to choose from. We talk about breaking fasts, and okay, that's kind of got me caught up. The beauty of food as medicine is that the choice to heal and promote health can begin as soon as the next meal. And I talk about break fast. Its improper nutrition can cause a roller coaster impact on your blood sugar levels that can affect the working day and brain operations. Point two, it's a good opportunity to add necessary fiber to the daily intake, helping to regulate elimination and other critical gut functions. And point three, many people eat fast food for breakfast, contributing to multiple pathogenesis cycles. Group transformation. I'll show you a picture of us all dining together over here. We have the first Saturday meal, and I think I'm going to be starting the first Saturday meal up again in, that would be 2 weeks, on Saturday, March the 7th. So if you're in Las Vegas, put that on your schedule. And then we talk about chapter 3, the living superfood system. Food, this quote from Alma Snell: food, medicine, beauty, and love. When we talk about them in English, they seem so different from each other. But looking at them from another perspective, they are not so different. Good food is a part of good health. Good health leads to good looks. Love surrounds it all. When we feed or heal, we share love. When we love and are loved, we are beautiful. That's beautiful. The 7 principles of optimal health, we go through that once again. In every book I published after I discovered that, I put that in there. It's very important. 7 principles of optimal health, 11 levels of the living superfood detox fast. Now I'm going to be leading, this is one of 3 classes I have planned for March. We're going to be putting together a group. We're going to do the best we can to go through the classes, to go through the group. We're going to do a detox fast. And you tell me, is this detox protocol I'm about to describe to you, is there anyone else who's doing this level of the detox? I don't think so. Number one, initiation of the fast breaks from the previous daily routine. That's usually with water only. 2, colon cleansing is the first of the extractive phases. Point 3, parasite cleansing is separate but works well with colon cleansing. Point 4, olive oil flush, intestines, gallbladder, and liver. Use it with an herbal laxative. Number 5, chelation, using EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid, and bentonite clay to remove heavy metals like mercury, lead, cadmium, arsenic, aluminum, and excessive iron. Number 6, blood and liver cleanse, dandelion with milk thistle. Number 7, targeted organ cleanse with pomegranate, cranberry, blueberry juices. Number 8, cellular rebuild with full spectrum smoothies and fresh vegetable juices. Number 9, probiotics. Rebuild with supplements, raw, unfiltered cider vinegar with the mother culture, kombucha, kimchi, and non-dairy yogurt. Number 10, facial mask with bentonite clay, aloe vera, cider vinegar, and hemp or flaxseed oil. And number 11, keep on your optimized pathway using living superfood between fasting and nutrition, and eventually your weight will come down. After a year of sticking to this detox routine, your BMI will be perfectly normal. Spiritual orientation, nutrition throughout the day, nutritional supplements. I use a bunch of different supplements, culinary and healing herbs, living superfood solutions. Oh, let me just read a little bit about the culinary herbs. And I do talk about supplements. And that's a very important part of being young, staying young. Within my nutrition routine, I have and continue to use more than 43 different supplements. It's now up to 52. Above and beyond my daily living superfood regimen, among the fullest spectrum of nutrients one could imagine. So when people ask me why I take supplements on top of living superfood, it can be difficult to buy 100% organically grown produce. In addition, some of what is commercially available has been raised in soil that is not as nutrient dense as ideal. Point 2, food is often shipped long distances between harvest and consumption, such as out of season crops from other countries or tropical crops. As such, picking fruit before it is ripe and transporting storage methods can rob these foods of critical nutrients, especially water-soluble vitamins. Point, as our bodies mature, our endocrine system ages, endocrine senescence, and will produce fewer of certain hormones that are abundant during younger years. Supplementation with hormone rejuvenators is thus advantageous toward our strategic goals. And there's more and more reasons of why I detox. Culinary and healing herbs. This is very important. If you were to ask Chef Kitty, how does your food taste so fantastic? I would most certainly point to a mastery of culinary herbs and spices. I have accustomed my taste to the planet's equatorial regions, where the intensity of sunshine has created the most potent culinary spices and herbs. I have been a devoted fan of fruits, vegetables, spices, and culinary artistry from the same part of the planet where, quote, people of color got the intensity of hue from. Over my lifetime, I have loved food from Thailand, India, Persia, the Caribbean, Central America, Brazil, and most of all, Ethiopia. I am particularly fond of vegan dishes from these regions. Over the decades since discovering the indigenous foods from these equatorial zones, I have tuned my taste toward these unique food cultures. Also, part of my secret is I don't like boring food. Without a doubt, I am far from timid when it comes to spicing food. Rather than rely on the American staples of salt and pepper, I prefer that my food be bold and adventurous by using a broad spectrum of exotic flavors. Also, I know a range of fresh, I grow a range of fresh culinary herbs in my garden available throughout the year. In my book, Transforming Soul Food for the Body, Mind, and Spirit, Chapter 4 lists 40 of my favorite culinary herbs, along with the health benefits of each. I highly recommend adding this book, it's called Transforming Soul Food. I highly recommend you add it to your library. Living Superfood Solutions is the next part of the chapter. I feature testimonies from some of my clients. Here's one of my favorite testimonies. Mary Liggins Goodrich, Mama Mary, as I call her. My humble thanks goes to my daughter, Terry Eileen Liggins, who shut her Vegas office down and canceled an array of appointments to fly to Ohio to take care of me at a moment's notice. Praise God Almighty. It first started with Kidi Awadu, that's Chef Kidi. He counseled me over the phone. I was in so much pain as I listened to him telling me that he could help me, but the choice would be up to me. I said yes. I will follow instructions, anything to get rid of this illness. I followed what he suggested even throughout the days in the hospital and weeks that followed. You see, I had suffered a mini stroke. My daughter fed me the delicious Living Superfood for 3 weeks. My cholesterol went down 50% in 7 days. My cholesterol, she wrote, went down 50% in 7 days without me taking any drugs, just eating the full spectrum hypernutrition way. My speech is back. I'm running up and down the stairs. I'm driving, and I'm back to teaching my 40 weekly piano students. It's a miracle. Food is nature's most perfect medicine. And just one more of these, and I love these testimonies. Jerome, he used to come by, and Jerome, this group is so inspiring, he wrote. So people with all humility, be encouraged, motivated, and push through your goals. If you're like me, yesterday was short of something thought of, prescribed goal. Today is better than yesterday already. Go for it. Walk, run, yoga, push-ups, leg raises. Love this life to the fullest. I rose at 5 a.m. am inspired to complete what I started yesterday and didn't finish a task. I wanted to increase my, quote, long, slow distance, unquote, LCD by 2 minutes. Yesterday I started too late. I was too dang hot at 9:30 a.m. I ran 22 minutes slow and said enough of that. This is at 6:15. I jogged 50 minutes last 2 weeks. I jogged 48 minutes before the fast. What the heck? Yep, with patience, I ran really slow and reached my goal. And lastly, this is from a couple, and this couple is so beautiful. Vanessa, she wrote, here is our praise report, day 9. They took the 21 day detox fast with me. Day 9, Louie and I, that's her husband, are down 14 pounds and 12.7 pounds respectively. We did the 12-ounce olive oil and citrus yesterday at 9 a.m. I saw eliminations go from brown, green to black tar-like consistency to brown again, sludge-like. My husband's blood pressure has gone from 180 over 130 to 128 over 83. That's in 14 days, less than day 9. This is day 9. My husband's blood pressure went from 180 systolic to 128. And last night, he passed several emerald green stones, gallstones. offered it to me on a chain, I smiled and declined. After feeling flu-like symptoms the past 2 days, I bought ketosis strips. My first morning urine, the strip was burgundy, high ketone, so that it is fat burning and parasite removal time. These are but a tiny sampling of hundreds of testimonies I've collected from my Living Superfood alumni. I look forward to many more thousands as the people learn the critical truth that food is nature's most perfect medicine, and medicine has never tasted like this before. And I want to just take a moment and say this. And I see you in the house. Chaos Rain says hello. All right. And Eddie in the house, congratulations on the push-ups. Is a body mass index of 20 a little low? Yeah, it is a little low, but it is right in the middle of the green zone. If it gets to 18.5 or less, then you are entering the underweight zone. Now, have you ever seen an elderly person, age 80 or above, that is overweight? Generally, they're going to be slim, underweight. And many times, that is related to what's called sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is a problem condition. It's when you've got what's called skinny fat. And skinny fat is not good. But it is a little low. But for my age and doing what I do, it's perfect. I would rather have it on the lower side of normal than on the upper side of normal, where I'm constantly striving to push it down. Now, I have a chance, Brother Eddie, to attempt to push my weight up every day. So therefore, I'm going to be eating the foods that will help me to gain weight. Right now, I'm doing green bananas. You ever use green bananas, boiled green bananas? They are fantastic. I made them yesterday, and I forgot about them, and they're sitting on the counter right now waiting for me to eat. But my boiled green bananas, they have the consistency of mashed potatoes, but they taste like slightly banana. It's called resistant starch. Look that up, resistant starch. You want resistant starch in your diet. So I'm going to eat a bunch of those boiled green bananas, and I'm going to make me some oven baked potatoes, real spicy. I make it real spicy today. So I'm going to be eating food that specifically allows me to gain weight. I bought all my different types of nuts and goji berries and things. So I'm going to have a trail mix, big bowl of trail mix later in the day. It's a joy for me to struggle, not struggle. I don't even have to say struggle, for me to work to gain weight, as opposed to have to sometimes struggle to keep my weight down. And so therefore, I have 5 pounds to pick up before during the next detox fast, which begins around March 20th, which is be the first day of spring. So Eddie, why don't could I talk you and your wife into joining us on the next detox fast? I will give you a discount because I know you and she make great buddies, running buddies, companions on transformation together. Come on aboard. Come on aboard. Give me a chance. Email me, or not me, email me, text me, and I'll talk you into joining our next group detox. And I'll discount your wife. It's a win-win-win situation, Brother Eddie. So text me at 702-580-0662. And let's get this party started. It's going to be great, great, great. And we're going to do the best we can. Now, I'm still in the book. I'm going to fast forward in the book. And the book is loaded with pictures. You have to understand the colorful pictures, and excuse me, the green screen thing is on and it's not showing the green here. Let me just turn that off so the picture's not all jumbled up, and turn off the green screen. Ooh, no, 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 not that. Wait a minute. Turn on the visual effects, turn on the green screen, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I just imagine the green is in there. But it's just pictures all throughout the book. Green is an essential color. Our brain picks the green out and wants us to have that nutrition. So let's go forward. Skipping forward, our mental. Oh, this is really important. Chapter 7, the urgency of our time. The urgency. I talk about fast food from page 67. I still got plenty of time. Fast food facts. Fast food culture is abundant in being quick, convenient, efficiently produced, and widely variable. These features exploit an individual's perception of time and innate competition. Bear with me. Why is this? Oh, there we go. Okay, here we are. We're back again. Fast food facts. Such types as hot dogs, pizza, burgers, sandwiches, French fries, tacos, chicken nuggets or buffalo wings, falafel, popcorn, breakfast foods, and others classify the fast food market. Point 3, consumption of fast foods is increasing across all societies globally. Point 4, enjoying a poor quality diet, eating a poor quality diet, high in junk and fast food, is linked to an increased risk of obesity, depression, digestive issues, heart disease, stroke, metabolic syndrome, hypertension, type 2 diabetes, cancer, and early death from all causes. Point 5, when it comes to the harmful impact of junk and fast food on your health, frequency of consumption matters. Many people eat out as many as a dozen times weekly. Point 6, typically fast food is loaded with empty calories, high sodium and sugar levels, and unhealthy saturated fats and trans fats, often enough in one meal for an entire day. Point 7, a typical fast food meal tends to be low in vital nutrients and almost totally lacking in fruits, vegetables, enzymes, essential fatty acids, and fiber. Point 8, finding a well-balanced and nutritious meal in most fast food restaurants is a challenge, to say the least. Point 9, fast food contributes to lower mental functioning among those who consume it the most frequently. I call it stupid people food. It's kind of mean, Kitty. Yeah, that's what I call it, stupid people food. Question, why is it called fast food? Answer, it's called fast food because you're supposed to eat it really fast. Otherwise, you might actually taste it. So the 16 most popular fast food chains in the U.S. include number 1, McDonald's, 2, Starbucks, number 3, Taco Bell, 4, Chick-fil-A, 5, Wendy's, 6, Burger King, 7, Dunkin', 8, Subway, 9, Domino's, 10, Chipotle, number 11, Sonic Drive-In, number 12, Panera Bread, number 13, Pizza Hut, number 14, KFC, 15, Popeyes, and number 16, Arby's. And then I talk about restaurant food, ain't all of that. And I do see a class, one of the classes I used to teach, and I taught this one here in Las Vegas. People flew in for it. And it's a beautiful class. You can see the picture there down in the corner. And these were all sisters came in, and I showed them how to prepare living superfood. And we all prepared living superfood. And on the last day of the class, we all contributed to a massive feast, living superfood feast. And let me tell you, it was absolutely awesome. Restaurant food ain't all of that. I do admit I enjoy the occasional restaurant meal with family and friends. As for myself, I'm particularly drawn to exotic spicing, with my favorite being Ethiopian, Thai, Caribbean, and Indian fare. Still, unless I am traveling, I generally only eat at restaurant about 2 times a year. For me, restaurant food isn't particularly motivating beyond entertaining friends or trying something exotic and unique. I will admit that I do enjoy the occasional restaurant meal with friends, family, and friends. Yet some people eat out of the home quite frequently. Therefore, the question arises as to whether we can maintain our optimal or nutritional well-being while consuming high amounts of restaurant fare in our diet. From my research and experience, the answer is that it is risky at best. At worst, dining out too often increases the risk of chronic diseases. What are the problems with dining out? Point. And this is kind of devastating. Like fast food outlets, many restaurants serve foods that are addictive but lacking in essential nutrition. Point 2. Restaurants tend to serve too much sodium, sugar, unhealthy fats, and obesogenic food. Obesogenic. 3. Many restaurants thrive on fried foods, which are fundamentally unhealthy. Point 4, restaurants serve very high amounts of refined carbohydrates. Point 5, in many restaurants, the proportions are much too high. Point 6, sources of many meal ingredients can range from high to very poor quality. Point 7, restaurants are often cited for pestilence and other safety code violations. Point 8, cooks and food servers are paid poorly, thus making them unhappy or unhealthy workers. And just one more point, the frequency of eating at restaurants is associated with risk from a spectrum of metabolic diseases. Oh, I'm not going to skip over these. So 3 more points. To keep costs low, few restaurants prepare their meals with organic or non-GMO ingredients. Point, eating out frequently exposes us to bacteria, parasites, and other causes of acute inflammatory illnesses, some of which may be transmitted by infected workers. And last point, most restaurants don't report to their customers that some of the foods they serve are known to be carcinogenic, cancer causing. So we learn to make our food at home. Our next subchapter, our mental and spiritual investment in food prep. Then I talk about the living superfood home, and it's a beautiful picture of one of the aftermath of our feasts. We see all these beautiful people all gathered together. I wish you could see that picture close up, as close as I can get it to the camera, because these people are our friends and family, and we just really appreciate, love you. And this was our meal. We talk about toxins throughout your household. This book has got it all in it. Toxins. I could go on ad infinitum regarding the many toxins that have permeated our lives within the most modern and wealthy societies. Suffice it to say that our health and wellness will be prime beneficiaries as we identify, eliminate, and replace these substances. But we got to realize just how ubiquitous these toxins are. These toxic substances are everywhere, including point, rubbing alcohol, 2, acetone, nail polish remover, 3, makeup items and personal care products, 4, the impact of organophosphates, 5, endocrine disrupting chemicals throughout the home, 6, pets and pet products, 7, bathroom and kitchen cleaning products, 8, building materials and furnishings, 9, solvents, pesticides, bleach, drain cleaners, oven cleaners, and ammonia. Next, we talk about early life nutrition, childhood and teen weight challenges. And I'm going to begin to wrap it up here. But in the book, Get the Weight Off, we talk much more about that. Factors making our children fat: poor eating habits, overeating or binging, lack of exercise, a family history of obesity, which is more mental than it is physical, congenital factors, pharmaceutical medications, stressful life changes, low self-esteem, depression, or other emotional problems. So superfood for superintelligence. Lastly, chapter 8, 4 major challenges and dietary solutions. Major challenges: shocking rise of autoimmune diseases. We go through that. You can beat autoimmune diseases on page 77. We talk about United States and cancer. That's our second category of disease. The third category, our brain chemistry and behavioral flexibility. And then the fourth category of disease is optimizing your weight without dieting. So it brings us into the optimize, to the end of our book. We're starting to summarize. And with one thing, symptoms of mineral deficiencies. This is very important. Symptoms of mineral deficiencies can include problems with protein synthesis, 2, immune system malfunction, 3, improper wound healing, 4, problems associated with synthesizing or expressing DNA, 5, constipation, bloating, or abdominal pain, 6, decreased immune system function, 7, diarrhea, 8, irregular heartbeat, number 9, loss of appetite, number 10, muscle cramping, number 11, nausea and vomiting, number 12, numbness or tingling in the extremities. That's peripheral neuropathy. Poor, number 12, that's number 13, poor concentration. Number 14, slow social or mental development in children. And number 15, weakness or tiredness. So then we've gotten through all of that. And I'm talking more about, we're going into the enzymes we need. And I hope you find that this book, I put a lot of work into this book. And I am really proud of it. Building your living superfood world and unleashing the vitality beast within. These are different chapters. And let me just say this from an anonymous source. Exercise is a celebration of what your body can do, not a punishment for what you ate. Boy, that's so true. And then I like this guy, Ariel Beloso. I get his email. He says, eating the correct raw food diet will not only improve your health and vitality dramatically, but it also affects the health of the earth. In fact, adopting a raw food diet, for mostly raw, is perhaps the most far-reaching personal decision any individual can make in order to save our planet. And then I conclude with a few of my favorite recipes. This is the part of the book I love, love, love. And this, again, was the course that I was teaching, Living Superfood Recipes, and then Recipes of the Day. And there's pictures, gorgeous, gorgeous pictures of the Living Superfood Recipes. And just lovely, lovely, lovely. I do talk about my kitchen, my professional gear, etc. Let's eat living superfood, including cranberry sauce recipe, veggie pate, avocado burritos, banana papaya pudding, tomato basil sauce, curry potatoes by Chef Keedy, seaside smoothie, coconut curry soup. These are almost all raw. Kale pesto zucchini wraps, superfood trail mix, vegan goddess, green goddess vegan dressing, tuna stuffed tomatoes using plant-based, non-dairy ice cream, raw zucchini cheese sauce, tropical bang salad dressing, hibiscus juice, sorrel, Jamaica, carrot, pineapple, ginger, raisin salad. And then chapter 14 consists of calls to action. Putting in the homework gets the job done. I want you to get this book. I did put up a link to the book. You can find this and these and more books. You can find these and more books at www.consciousrastapress.com. I highly, highly recommend that you do so. We can do great things. It's best that we do them together, that we reinforce each other's positive attitude and commitment and follow through. It's been an honor and a pleasure for me to be with you. This is our third week of the Black History wrap-up of all my books. I still got a bunch more books to do. The third week, we did 2 books per day. 15 days now, we've gone through 30 books. The thing is, I have more books coming out. And it's very important that we understand what it is that we are committed to. We're acknowledging African Hour Story, the longest history in the month, by examining the longest book writing spell of anybody out here. In the several weeks that I've put these books out, I have 2 new books out. The 2 new books, I have them over here on the corner, and I'm very, very proud of these 2 new books. The first of the 2 is The Conscious Roots, Growth, Heritage, and the Biology of Being. And the second brand new book out is Biocolonialism, the Technocratic War on African Fertility and Food. Now, I tell you, a lot of you got excited about this book and the exposure of the Gates Family Foundation and what nastiness they have been up to. And that nastiness motivated me to put this book out in about 10 days. It was really bad, really, really bad. But I tell you, The Conscious Roots, this is more of the solutions. This is the ways of life that we adopt, and it's actually a longer book. So I dare you to not get Conscious Roots. I double dare you. I quadruple dare you. If it's not all I say it is, please then ask for your money back. Just if you don't damage the book when you're reading it. Some people mark up the book and everything. But in any case, I'll buy the book back if it's not all that I say it is. But the biocolonialism, the day I got it, I sat and I read late at night, and it is absolutely devastating. We're going to cover these at the end of this whole series. And then I have another book coming out. The other book, I think I just finished the cover. Let me see if I can find the cover. It's really attractive book. And let me show you what the cover looks like. I'm going to share an image file, and here it is. Awakening, the book is called Awakening the Crown. And here is the front and back cover. Let me just show you just the front. Here's the front cover of Awakening the Crown. Where is the front cover? I'm looking for front. Front. And here is the front cover. I don't have it separate, but here it is with the back, front and back. This is what I submit to the printer. And is it coming up? Yeah. Awakening the Crown. It's kind of large, but I'm going to show it. And that's what it looks like. I hope you like that. What do you think? This is Awakening the Crown. And make your screen large. Make it full screen, and you're going to see it. I love it. Now, I had intended to release this book more for the younger population. But at the same time, you know me, I want to put everything I can in one book. And this is really, I think, is very good. So, and also I worked on this cover till late last night. I hope you like it. You tell me. Is anybody out there? Are you talking to me today? Do you like the new book? Somebody. Eddie says thumbs up. That's great. That's great. I appreciate you, man. And so, thank you, Eddie. Thank you for all of you who tune in to us regularly. You can go to the Conscious Rasta Press and get your hands on all of the books that I have done so far. And you've been tuned in to your favorite. We aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio, LIBT. We are livinginblack.com. Tell your friends to tell their friends that we have our own now. And we're very, very proud of what we have, what we've built, and who we are building with, who we are building for. You've been tuned into LIB Radio, LIB TV, livinginblack.com. Peace and prosperity to each and every one of you. We'll be back on Sunday, 9 a.m. on the West Coast, 12 noon for our East Coast, for our flagship, the Mastermind. Peace and prosperity.